A massive Anthem conspiracy has kicked off a discussion about the role of artificial intelligence influencing player behavior. Borderlands is bound for the Epic Games Store, and one of gaming's largest communities is split down the middle over a controversial move made by their leadership. So hey everyone, and welcome back to The Roundup, a twice per week news show that we run on Tuesdays and Fridays to get you caught up with all the latest gaming news. Of course, the channel has been busy since the last Friday roundup with reports on the future content of Bethesda, the microtransaction problems of the latest Elder Scrolls game, and the challenging future of game preservation in an era where tech is shifting. So you can check that stuff out, and let's get into the video. Okay, the Anthem story. This is kind of crazy and it goes kind of deep. So, here's what's going on. Loads of people had taken time off Anthem because of The Division 2. Indeed, there was actually an organized boycott during that time, but being real here, I don't think the boycott had that much impact. It probably just was people having fun with Division 2. Now, upon returning, many people, including Forbes contributor Paul Tassi, noticed that they were quickly getting a legendary item through gameplay. So that's data point one. A bunch of lapsed players noticed they were quickly getting gear. Now, for background, this also happened at the same time as an update that was meant to solve Anthem's immediate loot issues, but instead managed to make them worse, and I've already covered that in a report, plus a few other things. Now, suffice to say, people generally were not that pleased at the game. One player then posted that they were able to enter, then leave, then re-enter free play mode continuously, and that would get them loads of loot, as if they were building up some sort of hidden counter that increased their chances of getting loot. Then the following day, another Reddit user posted a tech power-up article that was covering a supposedly leaked PowerPoint presentation that heavily detailed the use of AI for game rewards, going to the point of saying that they were using Wi-Fi signals to build a 3D map of users' rooms in order to better target advertisements. This PowerPoint used early screenshots of Anthem, and it likely isn't real. We can't verify it, all we really know is that it first made its rounds on V, so chances of it being shenanigans are pretty darn high, especially the supposed system of analyzing women's cycles to target advertisements to appeal to a desire for dominance, which is a bit of an odd thing. So suffice to say, I think the PowerPoint is almost certainly a hoax. I mean, it's also full of poorly written text and grammatical errors and spelling mistakes, which would not make it into a proper presentation. Look, it's highly easy to make a fake presentation and then take a photo of it and just set your camera's shutter speed and all of that stuff so that you see loads of screen artifacts. Now, here's the thing though. Sure, that's a hoax, but it does have a basis in reality. There's an EA Games patent for a dynamic difficulty system, with the goal being to maximize playtime. Is it absurd to say that would not be used for rewards? No, absolutely not. But here's the thing, it actually does not take an AI system for something like that to work. I mean, yeah, it's easy to slap AI on something to get a clickable title that will garner attention, but the exact same effect can be had through regular bad luck protection systems. Does World of Warcraft use a advanced evil AI to prevent you from getting dupes and increase the chance of getting a drop from your next bonus roll token? No, it just uses a simple set of rules and counters. The very same could be in operation for Anthem. And it wouldn't be AI, it would just be standard bad luck protection. Indeed, it could be that the behavior reported by Paul and co. was just that. The game system seeing that they had not got loot in a long time and then proceeding to give them some loot. That seems like a reasonable explanation, and I would be surprised if it was something deeper than that. As you can see, there's a perfectly reasonable explanation that does not involve a hoax document that kind of paints a bit of a nightmare picture. Now that said, this sort of AI-driven direction, that is something we are going in, like it or not. More and more media is competing for attention from a population of overstimulated people who spend their days getting bombarded with messaging from all sides. Getting someone's attention is only one thing. Maintaining that attention is just as important, so you can be damn sure that companies will be using tech like this to do that. Likely, having AI-directed rewards and difficulty. Now, I think those things artistically are a disaster. I think that design is art. I believe that almost every game has its perfect difficulty level and level of reward. You know, the one that maximizes the designer's vision and is uncompromising. I do think that for mechanically driven games, AI directors that get in the way of that, I think they risk damaging the art, essentially. they would erode the tightly balanced and crafted nature of encounters. Some games like Souls and Sekiro, well, they'd be ruined by dynamic difficulty, and of course I commend their developers for only shipping their intended difficulty, even though it likely would cost them in sales. So while EA are probably not using AI to read your brain waves through Wi-Fi signal refractions or something like that, in the future they probably will try to use it to increase your engagement in their games. What I would say is that, well, people quite quickly would notice. I think it absolutely erodes from the experience, and I think those systems are generally very exploitable. So this is definitely something to be on the lookout for in the future. Next up, the r/games subreddit shut down for a day in order to support various different causes and denounce aspects of their community that they did not like. Rather predictably, this was a move that was widely praised by numerous tech and gaming websites, with there being a more split reaction amongst regular users of the subreddit, with the official Aftermath discussion thread having 48% upvotes, of course resulting in a net score of 0 because it was mostly negative. Now, there are numerous viewpoints here, both on the issues the mods were trying to raise, but also the manner in which they tried to raise them. Personally, I think it was a rather terrible strategy. I think it is one that likely spawned from the key decision makers involved being in an emotionally compromised state. Why do I say this? Well, quite simply, their plan was terrible. I don't think anyone actually thought it through. April Fool's Day is really not meant for serious things, and I think that by boiling all of those things down into an April Fool's event, they somewhat do miss the mark. Additionally, April Fool's Day is seen as a bit of fun in the internet. A bit of fun that's in no way related to the issues that the mods were trying to raise. So, in trying to raise those issues through the ruining of the core of April Fool's Day and the fun, they managed to tie those aspects together, very much giving a feeling of, oh, we were just trying to have fun and then the Puritans arrived to ruin it. Now, regardless of what one thinks of the issues, that's not the point here. I don't think that's material to the point I'm trying to make. It is quite clear that it was a poor strategic move, and likely one that did not accomplish the mod's stated goals with their target audience. Progress is not measured in Polygon articles. Additionally, in coming out with such aggression towards the undesirables within their community, they did something that is a major problem in today's media. They actually highlighted them. Something was pointed out by one of the top commenters in the following Aftermath discussion thread. A album of bad comments was compiled by the mods, an Imager album. But here's the thing, those bad comments had not been upvoted. The Reddit system was working as intended, with them not rising to the top. By compiling this album, the moderators managed to boost the messages of the people they were trying to fight against. Again, taking zero side on any of the substance of what anyone is talking about here, this is clearly an example of just a woeful strategy and then in the actual execution, incompetent tactics. The high levels of emotional reactivity displayed by such activist types is one of the primary attack vectors used by trolls. Those who act in the manner which the r/games mods did are extremely exploitable, with their highly predictable actions being used as a tool for trolls. You see, most of us just laugh this stuff off and we say don't feed the trolls. In doing that, we're not underplaying any issues. All we're doing is weighting the comments of such trolls appropriately and understanding the mechanics by which trolls work. So if you want to know why the internet has become more toxic lately, that's it. Websites and influencers reliably are playing into the hands of trolls. They are being played like fiddles. They literally signal boost comments that they are trying to fight against, and they create a large boogeyman. They make problems seem far larger than they actually are, and that creates a toxic environment that for many is simply just annoying, but for the people who are actually targeted by things, I would argue is quite a bit worse. As always, the antidote here is simple. Don't engage. Not with the trolls, and not with the self-appointed saviors eager to live up to their own protagonist syndromes. It simply is not worth your time. Next up, it's the Epic Games Store. Yeah, time to get some popcorn out. I've found it quite, funny or interesting how we've had a number of celebrated titles that are throwbacks to what consumers want, only to then just have the Epic Games Store snap them up. And yeah, I'm referring to The Outer Worlds, which of course was loved because it was essentially just a sci-fi version of, New Vegas, right? Set in space, all that stuff, that, kind of really benefited out of Fallout 76. Now, for loot shooters, people are angry at just all of the other stuff that's been bolted onto them, like the roadmaps and the live services and the big shared world experiences. And that's why Borderlands 3, a loot shooter that is not hampered by, a grand ambition, just wants to be a good game that's fun, that you can play with your friends, and is not, something that is designed to be endlessly replayable for 3 years until the next one comes out. So because of the nature of that game, people are really into the idea of it. They're really excited about it. And well, a bit of a twist in that has happened. We saw a tweet come out that said, "Mayhem comes on September 13th, indicating a release date for the game. But a Twitter video trailer also released, showcasing a pre-order pack that had the Epic Games Store logo, but no Steam or GOG logo on the trailer, indicating a Epic Games Store exclusive. Not confirmed, but suffice to say, people were not happy. And I'm not going to roll out my full explanation again. Suffice to say, boycotts are typically not that effective, current statistics, and yes, I've read some of the comments and, screenshots of Discords and stuff like that that are trying to say otherwise, the Metro Exodus, but based on everything that I've seen, all the numbers that I've crunched, the boycotts don't really have a massive impact on sales. I mean, hey, I could tell you that they do, right? That would likely increase the like ratio on this video, and that really does show just how easy it is for someone in a position like the one I'm in to be pragmatically dishonest for views and for likes, but that's not the goal of this channel. So sure, right, they might lose 5% sales, but guess what? They get a better revenue split in the store, they'd probably get more money, but actually more so for Borderlands than many other titles. Why? Well, it's developed in Unreal. That's Epic's game engine, and Epic waived the engine licensing fee for their games that are released on their store, meaning that the 5% engine royalties come from Epic's 12% cut, not Gearbox's 88% cut. That essentially means another 5% revenue from their game, and that is on top of them getting a 12% cut on the store revenue versus a tiered 30, then 25, then 20% cut from Steam. For sales past $50 million, Steam would take 20%, and then 5% of that would go to Epic for the engine license. Well, through the Epic store, it's a flat 12%. That's all Epic get. Even if Steam was a flat 20% cut the whole way through, here's how the numbers would work. On the Steam side, of your 100 million sales, that would be $80 million in revenue for Gearbox, and then I guess 5% of that would go to Epic, which would give Gearbox $76 million in total. Whereas with Epic, 100 million in sales is $88 million revenue for Gearbox, and that's it. And that's not even me taking into account how Valve charged 25% for between 10 and 50 million sales and 30% for sales below 10 million. What does all this show you? Well, it shows you the power of a vertically integrated business model. Epic make their own games. They have their own engine. They license that engine out. They then have their own storefront, right? So they actually have multiple sort of links in the chain they own. And that means that they can compete against Valve in ways in which Valve will really struggle to match, such as the engine licensing situation. Sure, Source is Valve's engine, but let's be real, there's not a lot of people making Source games, certainly a lot less than people making UE4 games. Epic really do have a developer-first model here. I mean, if you're the studio head of a place and you're making these decisions, Epic are giving the second best cut in the industry. Of course, it's 2% worse than Discord's 90%, and then they're also waiving their engine licensing fee. Now, that applies whether you're a big AAA like Gearbox or a small indie, of course, for whom the varying percentages really do make a far larger difference. Of course, this happening through exclusives is not ideal at all, is it? It's not. It's expedient for Epic, it likely will work out for their long-term business goals, but it is at the expense of the user experience. Arbitrary exclusives suck. I think we're all mathematically capable enough to know that the Epic option clearly is the right one for many devs financially, but it does not take away from just an annoying user experience that is caused by having yet another games launcher, and a woefully underdeveloped one at that has a bunch of other issues as well. I suppose Epic releasing non-DRM games could mean that they could be manually added to Steam, which would be a decent option. I guess I also wonder if it would be possible for somebody to make a meta client, something that would kind of just take all your games in a single hub, so you could add your GOG retro games, you could add your Humble Store games, you kind of, bring them all together into one place. I imagine someone's tried that, I guess it just hasn't caught on yet, but maybe with the Epic Games Store, some, enterprising group could maybe create something like that. I mean, I'd certainly pay $9.99 or something like that if I could just have the, the one sort of launcher to rule them all that could bring everything together and then give me a host of useful features. Though it really, it seems like that's actually something that maybe a group like Discord would like to do more so they could kind of leverage it in other ways. Yeah, I guess that could be a path forward. Now, I did say that Epic is a good thing for many companies, and it is for many. Mainly, though, it's good for companies with existing games that people really, really, really want and really care about. So, like Phoenix Point, like The Outer Worlds, like Borderlands 3. Because even though there is this negative aspect of it being on the Epic Games Store, people still really want that game. But if you're a new, fresh indie and you are unknown to people and you don't have that established kind of hype built up for your game, it certainly could be that being on the Epic Store would be enough to just have people not care about you and to really just cost you a lot of visibility. So Epic is by no means a perfect solution for indies, and that is not because of the core of their business model, it's simply because of what they've done with the exclusivity. So it's challenging to see how all of this is going to pan out over time, but that really is it for this video. So let me know what you thought down below, and be sure to check out the other reports on this channel that came out over the last 2 days. I would recommend checking out the one regarding games preservation and Sony killing off a relatively recent title earlier than you would think. A lot of people seem to like that video, so yeah, give that one a shot. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.